G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game. We're here on the brand new expansion for Age of Empires 4, the Sultan's Ascend. This is Gorge, one of the brand new maps brought to you in the Sultan's Ascend expansion pack. And I gotta say, I love this map. One of the things I do not like about this map, though, I will say that from the beginning, is the sheep distribution is not the best. I tell you what, we'll talk about it later. Let's introduce our players first. Starting off on the southwest side of the map in the color blue, playing as the Byzantines, opening with the Mido build, representing my insanity. It's Urk. And, villagers getting a little bit upset over there. And on the northeast side of the map, in the color yellow, playing as the Ottomans, it's Louis MT. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a casted game. If you're enjoying this casted content, make sure you leave a like on the video. It definitely helps out with the traction of this content. Now, let's talk a little bit about this and pay close attention to see exactly where these scouts go, because one of the things that happens on this map, I don't know if it's all of the spawns or whether it's just the ones I played on, but the sheep distribution gets a little bit funky. You would think that the sheep distribution would be simple, right? Like you would take a quadrant of the map, so you'd maybe divide it into 4, and then you'd split the sheep over each quadrant of the map. That's not the case. It's a little bit more random than that. Essentially what happens is it just puts sheep anywhere. And what can happen is you get like 2 sheep over here and 20 sheep up here. And I made the bad decision at one game of running down here on the south side, and I tell you what, I was a little bit upset. I went back and watched the replay and I said, oh my god, he's playing English. He doesn't need 23 sheep. Come on, John, help me out here. But look, devs are aware. They're going to fix it. It's a great map nonetheless. That's what's important to focus on, is we've got ourselves a really good map here, Gorge. A wonderful map, and I gotta say, I'm loving the map pool at the moment for this season. This is by far the best map pool that we have seen in Age of Empires 4, full stop. No caveats whatsoever. It's really good. Even, this isn't a caveat or much less just a footnote, even though you can't veto all the water maps, I still think it's really, really good. To be honest, Himayama's not even really a water map, so I don't mind leaving that one open. It's like, you know, if you want to go and grab the 3 fish that are in the middle there, go for it. It probably helps you out. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's talk and get down to business. Over on the north side, so we've got our Ottoman player, Louis. I'm curious to see exactly how he looks to try and take advantage in this game of the Ottoman bonuses. Big thing I'm going to be looking for is Castle Age timing. What's he thinking out here? Because off the cuff, I don't know if that's the right term. Just thinking out loud here. There's no real reason to go to Castle Age for crossbows. You don't need that. There's no big threat. There's no knight. There's no men at arms. You don't have to worry about that. So the main reason you'd be going to Castle Age, probably you'll pick up relics. That'd be a big thing. I guess you could try and look to deny the opponent from that position as well. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him look to play into that feudal style. Maybe even look to go for a second town center. I think that's probably going to be the right direction for Louis here. Because the Byzantines, they seem to be a bit of a slower civilization. That's one of the things to note with this civ, is that even though they get up relatively quickly, they don't come out of the gates too hot. But have a look at this, Urk. Now, he's under pressure on the gold vein, throws down the Imperial Hippodrome. Now, this is one of those interesting things. I've talked about this before, but when it comes to certain matchups, you find that there are natural counters that begin to form. So as an example, playing the Chinese against the Holy Roman Empire, that's a really advantageous matchup for the Holy Roman Empire, because all the timings that they want to hit are slightly ahead of what the Chinese wants to hit, and they're able to hit in early Imperial with a much stronger attack. However, here we've got a much more obvious counter, and that is that Louis MT on the Ottomans starts off with a military school, and the only unit that you can make from the military school in the Dark Age is the Spearmen. So naturally, this civilization is going to have spears. On the other hand, Urk wants to go for the Hippodrome, and the Hippodrome is going to be producing cavalry. So you've already got a bit of a natural counter that's already beginning right there at these early stages of the game, and it means that he doesn't have access to the same flexibility that his opponent does. As an example, if this was the English, you wouldn't see Louis even dare open up with this early military skill. He would just completely avoid it, probably look to do something like this, and that's exactly what we see now. Second TC, probably... Oh, I can never call a second TC for the Ottomans. We'll have to wait and see how many vills we've got out here, but have a look at the number of... How many spears we've got here on the mining camp. This is starting to really build up here. Twin Minaret Madrasa about to come through. These guys aging up at very similar times. A little bit late, though, in the to the feudal age. Late 4 minutes here, coming through. There it is now, on the other side of the map. Expect to see the Hippodrome through. Just only a second or 2 behind it. And now, where does Urk go from here? He's got the option to throw down the archery range. Indeed he does. He's also got access to the mercenary The mercenary house, however, with no berries, no olive oil to the man's name, he's not going to bother. And that definitely makes sense. But Horseman comes out, immediately runs into Spearmen and goes, oh, yeah, okay, that sucks. Now you see what I was talking about when I said that, you know, there's natural counters that kind of begin to rear their ugly heads. Archery range gonna start working here. Now let's take a look and see this network that we've got going on here inside the base of Urk. So number one, this cistern network is providing a 15% bonus to all the villages within the radius, and you can see that they're triple radius right now. Now these bonuses don't stack up. If you hit more than one circle, you're still going to get that same bonus no matter where you are. It's not like you get extra percentage points or extra gather rate, so that's important to note. However, there are other bonuses that do apply. Number one, so you have access to the reduced, or I should say increased production time of Conscriptio, which is going to allow your production buildings to make units much faster than what they normally should. 14 seconds here for a horseman. You can see that this barracks is going to be training Lebetanai very, very quickly compared over to the other side of the map. We do now start to see that military school coming down for Louis. That many villagers on stone. That's a paddling right there. Paddling up Villager Creek. That is going to be for sure. So horsemen come through. He's looking to try and find the villager kill. Does go down. Second one, not going to be happening. Has popped the Triumph ability. He's got that nice little heal coming through here. A little bit of extra damage as well to help him out. Very nice usage early on. And now we see that fourth cistern coming in. Very forward with this cistern. But I think he realizes he may have scouted the stone. He may not have. But if you scout that your enemy's on stone, you know that they're not going to be particularly aggressive. You can afford to be throwing out these early cisterns like this. So we're going to see, I'm suspecting probably a one base play. Just considering that there's 5 vills on gold here, only 2 villages on the stone. So one base play coming out here for Urk, up against the 2 base play now for Louis. Louis throws down the town center on the gold, which is once again an indication that he might be thinking about castling here. This would make a lot of sense here. Could look to go up for knights. That would be a wonderful option. Knights together with crossbows could work. From the military schools, could go into men-at-arms. That's another option for him. But at the moment, the number's just going to slowly build here for Urk. We're right on board with him as he slowly cooks up a storm for us. Let's check and see what upgrades he's managed to pick up so far. Wheelbarrow's on the way through. Also picked up horticulture at this early stage of the game. Have we picked up any unique upgrades just yet? Doesn't look like we've got either of the cavalry upgrades in the Dark Age. And border settlements still not in just yet. But he is cooking up a storm. We can see the numbers starting to build here. Now, one of the things that I would say that Urk is doing really well is going for the tri-unit composition. I feel like as the Byzantines, going for the tri-unit composition is imperative. You really want to do that. Number one, you've already got a staple, so you want to throw that bad boy out there. Number two, archers. Well, archers are important. You don't really get much of a bonus from them. But number three is the really important one, the Lebetanai. The Lebetanai is not only just your spearmen, but it's also your damage sponge. With the shield wall, it reduces the damage that you take from your Lebetanai, and it means that they're going to be taking a lot more shots, which is great, because it means that your spears are effectively a little bit more expensive, but a lot more healthier than your opponents. So that's always important to note. But now with horticulture coming through, it means he's going to be able to take these berries at an accelerated rate. So he's got 4 of the cisterns connected at the moment. We'll be looking shortly for that 5th one. He can afford to throw it down. The question's going to be whether he wants to do it and where he wants to throw it down. Sipahi coming out. Going to be able to idle out all these villagers here. Expect to see a couple units coming over to reinforce. Urk just taking his time at the moment. Has spotted out that stone. So we'll know the position of the enemy. And now I think the question is, how does Urk look to respond to his enemy going into 2 TCs? Because there's a number of different ways you can do it, right? Like you can respond with your own TC. You can respond by going heavy in the feudal age and looking to try and kill that town center, or at the very least, deny out some of the villages or kill some of the villages, trade them away for your rams, or in this case, Hierosophons. That's one of your options. The other option is to go castle and look for a timing push. Maybe, to be honest, this could be perfect for a castle age timing push with a cistern of the first hill. I could really see it working right now. Problem's going to be you've already gotten to the point where you've got 4 cisterns. Make that 5. And so adding a 6th cistern isn't really going to help you, and you might as well just go for the mercenaries anyway. If you don't go for it, you're missing out on 12 villages. It's a huge amount that you're missing out if your attack fails. So that's always important to consider. But we see Eastern mercenary contracts going to come through right here, which means that we're going to have Keshiks on the way shortly. No real surprise there. It's definitely I'll be honest, I don't know. At first I thought it was the best. Then I was kind of coming around to the longbows. And now after the recent game that I watched with Urk, I'm kind of thinking maybe it's the javelin thrower. Maybe the javelin thrower is the way that you do it, because it really creates this awkward spot for your enemy where they don't really know what to do because they're up against two unique units that are both really strong, and he actually spotted out a couple of units there. Does have the hill advantage, so perhaps his opponent didn't quite see him, but Louis going to be pushing out. A little bit dangerous to be doing with the second TC, and the fact, oh, there we go, Villager's going to be caught out of position. One goes down, second one's going to go down, third one's going to get picked off as well, and immediately Louis is going to be moving back towards the base. Ideally, you want to keep these units back at home. Next Vizier point's going to come through. I expect it's going to be in a military campus. He's going to be looking for that third military school. But at this point, yeah, it's one of those things where often when you're going for the second TC, you want to try and keep it defensive, at least initially, you know, start a little bit of walls. We did see that problem previously in a game that we just casted where certain players wouldn't wall up. Maybe they just didn't want to wall up, but now you can see that Louis doing a little bit of chasing right here. Urk heading towards the top side of the map. Just slowly just spacing him here. With the Sipahi, just wants to keep tabs on exactly where that position is, but we can see the rendezvous point has been confirmed. Both players now heading towards this central location. We're getting rid of the UI. It's time for us to have ourselves a beautiful, big battle. Let's see what we can do. Keshik's down here. He needs to begin moving them through. Numbers are looking pretty good from the perspective of Urk. The question's going to be whether he can actually make the connection. Now, all of a sudden, Louis realizes he came to the wrong neighborhood. The meta's at the back. That's going to be helping out with that little bit of extra Vizier action. But the archer numbers are just able to overwhelm the spears completely, allowing the Keshiks to get onto the front line. And once the front line's dead, then that means that your back line is gone for, because these horsemen, they absolutely know no bounds. And you can see that Triumph coming through, just helping out with a little bit of extra damage in this situation. It's going to be a full cleanup here by the looks of it for Urk. Louis definitely going to be heading back to the drawing board, but keep in mind he does have 2 TC on the board, which means that even if he loses off this mass, as long as he rebuilds, he'll be okay. He needs to stay feudal a little bit longer because of it. Definitely can't go castle, but now the numbers are starting to build. This is where it starts to get a bit concerning, because you're losing your mass, right? This is not just losing 6 units. This is using 6 units that were going to become part of these 10 units that would eventually be 16 units. And then, of course, we know with Lanchester's Law exactly how important it is to square those units up. But now he continues to fall back towards that town center. Looks like he will be pretty safe under here. Indeed, Urk falls back. And now Urk's got a couple of options for him. Does he go Castle Age? Does he go for his own second TC? Does he go 3 TC? He can do anything. Or if he really wants, he can put the pedal to the metal and say, let's finish this in feudal, baby. We can do it right now. And that's definitely a way that he can do it. But one of the things to note, he's not training any units, which to me kind of points it's probably going to be a Castle Age. So let's see how long that stays like that for. Big farm transition coming through as well at the moment. Going to be looking to gather up that olive oil. Still no units in queue. Upgrades on the way. I think he might be transitioning villagers out to Deer. Indeed, we've got a couple out here. He's got 26 vills on it. So he knows. So one of the big things after you win a fight is you can look to try and age up after you've won a fight. If you lose a fight, normally you're going to have to rebuild your army, as we can see Louis doing right now. He's got 6, 7 units in queue. Plenty of units in queue right now. And, oh, that's going to be 19 food thrown onto the ground and a villager dead. Ah, you hate to see it. Triumph still coming up here. Not too long to go. Should be able to repel this for the moment. And I think the reality is Louis trying to buy time, but at the same time also just trying to, you know, trying to get some raids in, which is solid. But I think the reality is Urk doesn't want to push his advantage at this stage. He doesn't need to. He can go castle, get his veterancy, and then look for an attack. And that's exactly what he's going to do here now. 14 minutes into the game. Let's switch it over and take a look at the income for these two players. Urk currently sitting about, what have we got? 16, 19, yeah, about 2k. I'll give it to him. On the other side, about 2k for Louis. God, 1,300 wood per minute. How much wood would you like? And Louis says, yes. All the wood. How many archery ranges do you have, Louis? What are you planning back here? What are you cooking up for us? Look at this man. He is scheming right now. Finally moves the villagers off. These guys are heading out somewhere. They're heading out to the front. He's going to be looking to try and pick up a little bit of deer out here, a little bit of venison for the weekend. Why not? Why not? We can now start to see that age up going to be coming through. It's going to be the Golden Horn Tower. No surprises there. Definitely considered the best landmark that you've got access to in the castle age here for the Byzantines. A really strong landmark. At the moment, it will be operating as long as it's... Please tell me that's in the influence. I think that's in the influence. 99% sure that... Yeah, it's in the influence. Okay. So this is the equivalent of 12 villagers right now that are going to be pumping out from the Golden Horn Tower. Or I should say, it's the equivalent. The units that are produced here are equivalent to 12 villagers that are working. But now Louis kind of sensed, hey, you've got an age up coming through, and you could feel that the age up from Urk was a little bit delayed there. It felt like his macro just wasn't really on point, and now he's kind of fallen behind on where he should be on that age up timing. But the good news is he does have plenty of gold in the bank for his upgrades, as long as he's going to be able to find those upgrades. Horseman going down here. So what do we want to see from him? Well, we look at the unit numbers. So he's got a lot of archers, 24 archers. We've got Lamentonite, 13. So what do we want? We want veterancy on the archers. We want veterancy on the Lamentonite, and we want +2 ranged attack. Then we can prioritize other things. Those are the big ones. So we do see veterancy now coming through for the Lamentonite. And ideally, what we'd also see is his system switching to Dialecticus. This is another important switch to make. Janissary timing, no way. He's got 8 Janissaries. He's looking for blood right now. Louis MT is pushing his opponent in this feudal age. He says, you wanted to go castle age? Guess what? You had time. I just didn't think there was enough for you. And he now looks to put on the pressure with the 2 outposts coming through, both of them fortified with the stone upgrade, and the arrow slits in. I suspect Louis is going to have to head back to the drawing board and say, do I want to go for battering rams, or do I want to find castle myself? Because he can definitely do both here. Remember, he does have the 2 TC, so he's at an advantage with regard to the economy. And realistically, there's only one way in this game right now for Urk to come back into it, and it is an attack imminently. It needs to be soon. He needs to hit hard, and he needs to hit very, very soon because he's behind. Look at the villager count, down 30 villagers almost. MIA coming up for his opponent now in the front of the base. Blacksmith going to come down with it, as making sure that he's always got those fast mangonel train times. Exactly what it needs to be. But at this point in the game, I'm starting to worry a little bit here for Urk. Because these numbers aren't looking pretty. I mean, he's training units, but it just... Look at the macro. There's a lot to be desired. Where are all the units coming out? Does he maybe look to go into Cataphracts or something like that? That could be an option for him, but even then, your enemy's got Janissaries out on the field. Do you really want to mess with a guy that's got Janissaries out? Those guys absolutely destroy cavalry. Let's take a look and have a look what their stats are. There's one. 16 with an extra 16 damage against cavalry. Just don't. You play with fire, you're going to get burned. Even though I know the Byzantines have got famous Greek fire, look, at the end of the day, it's just not going to be strong enough. I'll say that much. Cavalry numbers are starting to build. He is going to go into the Cataphract, though. I feel like this could be a bit of a trap for him. He knows that Janissaries are out on the field. Enemy just reached Castle Age. He's got spears out as well, so he can look for veterancy on those. What do we see him do here? Louis upgrading. Upgrading spears, upgrading archers. No +2 upgrades coming through just yet. And Teardrop Shield's going to be on the way through for his opponent. Still yet to see the veterancy come through on all... Actually, no, I take it back. Veterancy on everything. Never mind. Don't mind me. Looked a little bit misleading. But the numbers here are decent. Now coming through, the first of the Cataphracts is here. The Janissaries need to be focused down. The archers need to be looking for them. There they go. There's 1. There's 2. There's 3. Focus those down. Focus them down. Exactly what you need to be doing here. And now the cavalry numbers are going to start to build. You can see them beginning to push forward. Archers have got their veterancy through. No +2 just yet. But a nice little recovery coming in right now. The main thing is the lack of infantry numbers here from Urk. May leave a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth in the event this cavalry goes down. That's exactly what's going to happen here. More cavalry comes through. This is the power of that Golden Horn. Keshiks make the front line. Now looking to try and soak up all that damage. You can see the crossbows are doing a decent job of teeing off towards it. The Cataphract is slowly but steadily dying out here. The Triumph has worn off completely. But it's a beautiful kite just continuing back towards the base, and Louis playing that ranged infantry composition perfectly. Exactly how you do it. Very well played there from Louis MT. Alrighty. Well, we're going to have to head back to the drawing board. I feel like at this point, the most important thing for Urk is to get a mangonel out. He needs a mangonel because he needs to buy space. He needs to buy time. The mass here is very good from his opponent, and he's just going to keep kiting him out unless he goes into that mangonel. We can see at the moment he does have the resources for a siege workshop, and he's throwing down farms or olive groves on the front here. Got to be careful with these villagers. He could go into it if he chose to. Does he have siege workshop? No siege workshop back here. Back towards the front line. Lament and I are going to be diving in. Janissary numbers still building here. In fact, he's only got 2. But speaking of mangonel, look at this. It's not the player that you needed it for. It's the player that, well, I guess natural. Oh my god, look at the damage that does. Big charges come through. Oh, we didn't find his way all the way to the mangonel. That was a huge charge right there. Coming in onto that mango. Who needs sprinkles when you got these bad boys right here? cleaning up the back. The crossbow numbers have now begun getting added in here for Urk. But remember, he's still behind on the 2 TC. It's 1 TC versus 2 TC. And this is one of those things where it's like, if you scout your opponent going 2 TC, is it just better to go for the second TC yourself? Even if you're going to be slightly behind, it's better to be slightly behind than be an absolute world behind. Take a look at the villager count right now. 54 versus 92. You're talking 40 villages of difference. You know, 10 minutes ago, there was barely anything between them. And now, all of a sudden, you've got a completely different ball game that is out here. And sure, the numbers aren't looking terrible at the moment for him, but I think he realizes with that second TC, he is so far behind, there becomes very little that he can do. Now, looks like the knight will get cleaned up by the Keshiks. How does he find a way back into this game? That is the question that we really need to find the answer for. He's sure he's got the olive groves out, but the reality is, and it's not going to be enough to swing it. Not against an economy that great. Military schools are online. He's got 2, 3, 4 military schools pumping right now. The MIA also pumping units non-stop up against the free units coming out from the Golden Horn Tower. Now, I want to check something. I heard that the Gulams from the Byzantines, they can. Oh, look at that. The Gulams. Okay. The Gulams from the Golden Horn Tower and from the Mercenary House can make siege on the battlefield. Springles, Mangonels. Oh, that's big. That's actually really big. It changes my mind about which is the best out of those trees. And now all of a sudden, you know, I used to cringe a little bit when I got Gulams instead of Keshiks. Now I'm kind of liking it. Now I'm seeing. Now I can justify having these guys out on the battlefield. That's awesome. I did not realize that. That is so cool. I wonder if Urk looks to try and utilize it. I don't think he will, but let's see. We'll keep an eye on it. Acid Distillation now coming through over for Louis MT. It's looking to fortify a couple more outposts. And look at the walls coming up over on the edges of the map. Exactly what you want to be doing at this point in the game. Just controlling that narrative, preventing these cavalry raids. And this is what it's all about. Look at this. The cavalry were directly targeted towards these 15 villages. But guess what? They never get to see the light of day because of this wall. And that just buys you the time to react, to bring your army into position. You want to try and siege it down. Go for it. I'll meet you there. I'll see ya. And that's the power of these walls. And this is why it's so important to get these little walls up on the edge of the map. Honestly, I wouldn't mind if walls got like a big HP nerf. Just something from like 1250 down to like 500. But then just give them an upgrade. Give them an upgrade that takes them from 500 up to 1250. Just something simple like that would be absolutely welcome. He just snatches away the relic while the cavalry's standing by. Fair enough, he says. Unfortunately, it looks like Urk did not wall in enough. He's walled plenty down here, but didn't wall in the hunt. Gonna lose another villager or two here, unfortunately. Indeed, it's gonna be 2 on the ground. Outpost coming up here. I think this one probably goes down before it comes up. But let's check in mainly over here with Urk. I just want to ride on board with him because he's now 47 villagers down. Playing up against the Ottomans. Obviously, it's a pretty powerful civilization right now at this point in the game. Just to quickly check the numbers, you're talking about, oh god, I don't even want to do the math on that. You're talking 3k plus easily, compared right now to barely scraping over 2, maybe 2.5 on a good day. All right, numbers are looking good. He's coming forward now. Urk, keep in mind he does have the siege in the back, starting to move up. A single janissary out over on that flank, just looking to take out the villagers with the men at arms, but now looking to push through. Where is that cavalry? He needs to see the charge onto the Mango. The Mangonel's got a beautiful spot at the back here that he can focus down. Exactly where it goes, on the top of that archer's head. Urk now coming in from the side. The cavalry charge, looking to try and clean out all that backline. Unfortunately, the Janissaries are going to be here to assist. The crossbowmen as well are going to be able to clean that out. And the Keshiks, together with the Cataphracts, are going to be trying their best. But they're going to be working absolute overtime here. The men-at-arms, together with the spears on the front, should leave a little bit there, but you can see the kiting's now going to come in, and remember, he's kiting back into his reinforcements. It all just comes back to kiting into your reinforcements, and now you can see the numbers are going to be building here. And I think it's at this point, Urk probably realizes, you know what? I don't think I'm going to be able to climb Mount Improbable. It just doesn't seem possible at this point. It's such a struggle for him. You can feel it right now. He's on his doorstep, but once this next Mangonel comes in, it's going to be really difficult. Let's see if Louis focuses down the cavalry. That's what he should be shooting at right now with his crossbows, with his janissaries, and that's exactly where he goes. Last one. Once that's taken down, the Mangonel has free reign here to hit this back line. He might hit the front line as well. Numbers still not looking terrible for him. The charge comes through once again. Is he going to make a connection with that mango? Doesn't quite look like it. Cataphract will go down. A little bit of a back split, but hold your horses. It's not quite over until that fat lady starts a singing. Men at arms making their way down here as well. So I love the Janissaries on the flanks, and then the core of the spears. Sacred sites now being taken. 4 relics against none. Villagers just casually moving over to the big gold, dropping down a keep here for Louis. He's thinking ahead, this guy. You know, he wins a fight and then just says, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to slowly take the map here. He's walling off absolutely everything. Walling out the middle now. Picking up the sacred sites. In the north, in the south. Men at arms, Janissary running through. Urk's still in this game, but holding on for dear life. And now, Louis, oh, he just gives up. He says, you know what? You can take my pride, but you'll never take my villagers on my woodline. And he just says, I ain't having it. Fellas, I hope you guys have enjoyed this casted game. Make sure you go check out Urk. I'll leave a link in the description. He doesn't really stream much, but he's a nice guy. I like him a lot, and I'm sure you will too. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Unfortunate for Byzantines.